Residents criticize plan for new stormwater fee, say Baton Rouge is rushing to pass it. That's the headline over at The Advocate. 716, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Let's talk about the stormwater drainage fee. Let's welcome Metro Councilman Dwight Hudson back into the studio. Dwight, what's happening, man?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Always good to be with you.
Glad to have you in studio this morning. So, the stormwater drainage fee, we've been apparently out of compliance forever.
Yes.
Like 14, 15 years or something. And then all of a sudden, now we've got to be hit with all the backlog of paying for all of it, right?
That's correct.
Which is kind of, different book, same story for Baton Rouge. We see this all too often. Let's start with the EPA and then work backwards from there.
Sure.
The EPA has asked a number of folks to sign a non-disclosure agreement. The mayor's office, a lot of folks in the mayor's office have already signed off on this NDA. I asked Lori White Adams on either Tuesday or Wednesday where she was at. She was a hard no. How about you? You signing an NDA?
No, I'm not.
Good.
No, I think it's ridiculous that two government bodies, right, funded by taxpayer dollars, would enter into an NDA and not be able to be open and transparent with the community about a potential tax or fee or anything. To me, that's totally inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we're both funded by taxpayer dollars. We ought to be able to be open and transparent about the process as possible. I was really encouraged. Yesterday, we got a message from Congressman Graves' office.
Saw that.
He actually sent a letter to the EPA, to the Department of Justice, basically saying just that. Look, we need to be able to go out to our constituents and tell them what the plan is. And if we can't talk in a serious and detailed way about what a possible consent decree might look like, then we're not able to have a full vetting of any plans.
This doesn't pass the smell test. Like from jump, when a government bureaucracy and a government entity like anything within East Baton Rouge and the EPA, when those two combine to say, let's keep everything off the table until it's time, hey, just trust me, I'm with the government, that doesn't fly. Not in today's world.
And when you add it in with the accelerated timeline that we're dealing with, it becomes extremely problematic.
Okay, so how many other Metro Council members have you talked to about whether or not they're telling the EPA to stick it?
I haven't talked to everybody, but I have not talked to any member yet who has agreed to sign it.
Okay, I wouldn't be shocked to see one or two say, okay, cool, just to keep things moving forward. But I mean, you got to know better, EPA.
I would say I've talked to different folks, different members on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
And they've all said, no,
okay,
they haven't signed it.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I saw Garrett Graves' letter. I don't know why, but for some reason, I read Garrett Graves' statement in Greta Thunberg's voice. Like, how dare you? Like that was the tone it had. Not to say he was a child. I'm just saying that was like the level of rage, that level of, oh, how dare you? Seriously, where do you get off asking for this in the first place? Now, as far as the stormwater drainage fee is concerned, what are we actually looking at here?
Yeah, so the idea, the plan is from the mayor's office is $1.36 per 500 square feet of impervious surface.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be, at least as they've shown it to us, that will be put on a property tax bill as a fee.
Yeah, so we're going to have to play word jousting for a while with this between tax and fee.
Sure.
We're going to hear 100 times, it's not a tax, it's a fee. Is it money out of my pocket? Okay, then let's move on. That's not you.
Right, no, the problem with that, and it's sort of the first, philosophical test that you apply to any kind of additional government revenue,
mm-hmm.
Is it appropriate to do this without a vote of the people? And that's why you're seeing it as a fee, is so that it can be passed through just the council,
right,
as opposed to having to go to the voters. Look, I understand that we have sewer utility fees, we have other fees, but it's just there's a different level of scrutiny that has to happen when it's going to end up on your property tax bill.
Yes,
and it's going to have all the same effect on your private property as a millage would. So it really, to me, on the very jump, not even getting into the plan yet, we have a serious problem with it just for that fact, right?
We talked with Kelvin Hill about the actual plan itself, about what is to be done here, and I'm a little bit still confused over if this is stormwater drainage, why is the EPA involved unless it involves cleaning something? which apparently it does involve cleaning something. So we're not talking about stormwater. Stormwater doesn't have to be cleaned. It's clean when it drops to the ground, and then it flows out from here. If you're talking about picking up some litter, okay, fine. But upping to $40 million a year worth of a budget to remove Dasani bottles?
Well, no, so it is absolutely about water quality, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so that definitely does have to do with sediment and litter and all those types of things as well. And I think that's actually a really important distinction, that we are mostly talking about water quality and not quantity. This is kind of sort of being billed as a fix to the 2016 flood,
which was quantity.
Correct.
Yes.
This does not create any additional capacity in our system to address a backwater flooding type of event or major flood. It will help us with conveyance. It will help us with maybe a 2021 type of flood where it's a flash flood, because we know we have some choke points where sediment has built up in the system. But if you're talking about a 2016 flood, if you're talking about backwater flooding events, what we need for that is additional retention and storage. This plan does not address that.
And I think that's where a lot of folks' anger is going to come. When you read stormwater drainage fee, that to me, that sounds like, okay, we need to drain things. We need to get water out of here faster so it doesn't come into my living room.
And this plan will do that. Yeah.
But if this is something else, then it needs to be described as something else. Another part of this is the amount of time we've been out of compliance. Has any reason been given why this hasn't been brought up in 14 years?
Well, I would disagree that it hasn't been brought up. I brought it up twice. As you know, I've led efforts twice now to rededicate some taxes, and you gave me a great segue. I listened as I drove in this morning. I've attempted twice to rededicate taxes to drainage, right? So I think if any constituent goes and takes a serious look at our budget, takes a serious look at our tax dedications in this parish, you will see that our priorities, although we say we're prioritizing drainage and infrastructure, we're really not. We're prioritizing a lot of other things through dedicated taxes that are great things to do, but they're not the core function of a municipal government.
Thank you.
And so before I'm comfortable with any additional fees or taxes, I want to see us go in and take a serious look at those dedicated taxes, at other parts of the budget, and make some changes. That will include us going back to the voters and getting permission to do that, to change those dedications. And look, I will tell you, at the end of the day, I should qualify this statement first. I'm a anti-tax, no-tax guy, right? Used to be the chairman of Tax Busters.
Yeah, no.
I'm a Pharisee's Pharisee when it comes to to being anti-tax. But I will tell you, after you rededicate those taxes, you probably will still need an additional millage for drainage.
Which is fine. As a taxpayer, I'm like, throw me a bone. Show me you're trying before just tapping me out for more money.
Correct.
And this is the age. This is a Dave Ramsey argument. This is an anti-tax argument as well. When my budget's tapped out at home, my budget's tapped out at home. I could choose not to get something new, or I could choose to cut somewhere else. When the government's budget is tapped out, it's like a Britney Spears song. Gimme more.
Yeah.
So show me you've looked to rework your budget. Show me you've done everything you can within. You've turned over every rock. You've gone through every couch cushion. Then hit me up. It comes across like curmudgeonly. It comes across like, get out of my wallet. But there's got to be a little bit, especially on a local level.
Well, at this time, where we're seeing our wallet get hit from every direction, be it gas prices, food costs,
it's totally,
utility costs, everything. You have to take that approach, right?
I would agree.
As somebody who pays taxes myself, who pays that additional dollar at the pump, look, that's what I'd like to see, and I think most of my constituents agree with that.
I would as well. We've got Metro Councilman Dwight Hudson in studio for a couple more minutes, talking about the stormwater drainage fee, as it's been named. So as far as moving this thing forward, y'all got to look at it this week. You're going to vote on October 26th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that vote expected to play out, or are we looking at anything that might push it back?
The timeline that the mayor's office has given us is that's our one chance to vote on this. They're telling us we don't have time for deferrals and that type of thing. We need to get this done is sort of the message that we're getting from them. So deferral is always possible, but honestly, I don't see that. I think I'm hoping you'll get an up or down vote on October 26th.
Yet know what the penalties are for telling the EPA to pound sand. This might be just that same curmudgeon. But when these tactics are used, we're 14 years out of compliance, and you've got to decide this month whether or not we're all going to get hit with a budget that goes from that more than quadruples, a budget that more than quadruples, which comes out of your pocket and mine. When these tactics are used, it says you don't really have a choice here. You have to. You're going to vote for it, but you vote for or against. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be way, way worse. Right. We're going to be that much more punishing if you don't. When those kind of tactics are used, there's a part of me that says, you know what, stick it, do what you will.
So that's the problem, again, going back to the NDA, right?
Right.
So we don't know what those terms of a consent decree might look like. We don't know. Everyone kind of agrees, and I agree with this. It will be more expensive, but we need the minutia. We need the details. We need to know exactly what are the additional things that we might get in a consent decree that we're not going to do in this plan. And let's talk about those. Why are we not going to do them if they're going to end up in a consent decree?
Right.
Are we not funding the system as much as it should be? So those are all questions that really can't be answered right now because of the issues with the NDA.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. The likelihood that the NDA just goes away. What is that? Is that even possible?
I have no crystal ball to be able to tell you that.
Okay.
I'm just not sure.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's just that you back somebody in a corner and you get more willing to cut off your nose to spite your face. Stormwater drainage fee. If we're not pumping out cleaner water, if we're not pumping out water faster, whether it be quality or quantity, I think everybody wants to be on board with both of those things. Just don't position this. And again, this wasn't coming from anybody on the Metro Council, but don't position this in an area where we don't have a choice. Last 3 minutes, I want to ask you we're going to come back around to dedicated funding.
Sure.
Can you name areas where it's worth taking a significant look at either undedicating funds or scaling down what is actually dedicated?
Sure, absolutely. Mosquito abatement,
okay.
Library Board of Control, certainly the Council on Aging as well. And look, if you had a dynamic kind of centralized effort from the mayor's office, I think you could look at some other ones like BREC and that kind of thing. Again, you got to be careful with BREC. They're not technically a city parish agency. They're a political subdivision of the state.
Right.
But certainly, if we were to coordinate with them, and we have a great relationship with them, I think we could look at them as well.
I think, as much as the Council on Aging brings up questions and news reports and investigations and everything, it's the library that really sticks out. You've got all these new glorious buildings, and so why do you need more money? Maintenance can't cost that much. But yeah, you bring up another good one with BREC. Now, I'll defend BREC as much as the mayor's office will defend the Council on Aging. I love me some BREC. But
look, my kids use BREC parks every day. I love it.
And they're undergoing a lot of great changes that are going to bring about great things. But once you're done with all that construction, okay, now let's dial back a little bit. How about it? In the meanwhile, the meeting's coming up on October 26th. He is Metro Councilman Dwight Hudson. I appreciate you coming in, man.
Thanks, Brian.
No, thank you. And still, stormwater drainage fee. There's nothing saying that we wouldn't be on board with that. We're going to get you CBS News here coming up in just a minute. Before that, tomorrow is game day. No, it's not a home game, but if you're entertaining at home, maybe swing by Mathern's to stock up, right? Full-service grocery store downtown or in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Craft beer selection beyond compare. Wonderful bakery, wonderful deli. If you're stocking up for your game day, if you're entertaining at home for the LSU-Florida game tomorrow evening, swing by Mathern's. And, oh, by the way, if you've not yet downloaded the Mathern's app, what is wrong with you? Do it now. Do it now. It's so convenient. Before you leave work, punch up your grocery order, pull into the parking lot. They bring it out to you. That is convenience at either location. Downtown on 3rd Street or in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Yes, that is on campus. No, it's not just for students. Hit up Mathern's today. Coming up later this evening, Live After 5, going to be going on in the North Boulevard Town Square. The Mixed Nuts will be hitting the stage. Yours truly will be introducing them. Looking forward to it. We have got picture-perfect weather for Live After 5 coming up this evening. I cannot wait. It is always a good time in downtown Baton Rouge getting ready for Live After 5. Talk about the things on the calendar that we value. That's one of them for me. As, what do they say, clock out and rock out? Absolutely. I'll be down there for the Mixed Nuts. Hope to see you out there. 5 o'clock in North Boulevard Town Square. We're talking with Justin Hill from the Baton Rouge Fire Department right after we check our own local news, traffic, and weather right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Oh, thank you, man.
Can you get a picture real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Standing or like we were still talking?
Let's talk. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, absolutely. So did you do both ways? All right, cool. I don't know, man. To me, this thing is going to get worse before it gets better. I don't. We there. Everybody has a breaking point, and I'm kind of at mine now. I don't want to be that guy, but they're turning me into that guy.
Well, I didn't want to.
And we're still on Facebook, by the way.
I didn't want to say it. So
Yes.
we're live on Facebook.
Yes.
Well, I'll say it. Whatever.
I never.
I really want to give staff an opportunity to address it,
Mhm.
but there's still an issue with collections of this. It's being put out there as if it will be on the property tax bill as like that's official, but we're not sure about that yet. That's there. The state law does not, as I understand it. I've not looked at the state law personally, but as I understand it, and I've asked the parish attorney's office about this, where this is coming from. There's a significant question of whether or not we'll be allowed to actually put it on the property tax bill. So, if you put it on the property tax bill, you get a 90, let's say 95% participation rate. Right?
Okay.
Because that's the percentage, and I'm making up a number here, but that's the significant percentage of people that pay their property tax bill. And you're going to pay because you want to avoid a lien on the property and all that. But if you don't have it on the property tax bill, you've either got to put it on the water bill, which is imperfect because there's a lot of properties that don't have a water meter.
Okay.
Or you got to send. The more likely thing is that they would send out a bill quarterly.
Okay.
And you get this.
I'm not doing that.
You get this bill quarterly.
I already paid that.
And it's
I already paid that. It would be
not to something that has. You're not shutting off a service.
Right.
Right. You're not going to pay it, so you're going to have to send it to collections. That's going to cost a ton of money. And this whole fee is based off of $1.36 per 500 square feet to generate $36 million fund.
36, not 40.
Well, the maintenance piece of it is 36, but
okay.
Even
36 is literally quadrupling.
Correct. Yeah. So it's designed to generate a specific amount. You get a significant portion of people that don't pay it, or collections cost a lot more. Well, now you got to up the fee more.
Right. Right. Which
and just another vote of the council. No, don't have to go back to the voters for approval of that.
A fee within a tax, a fee on your tax bill, like that. The level of gymnastics it takes to get to that point.
You can do that. You can't do that.
No,
we have
I know.
Parcel fees. There's a fire department parcel fee. A lot of neighborhood crime prevention districts have parcel fees.
I voted for one of those.
You voted for them.
Yes.
You voted for them. That's the ticket.
And I don't see. I say I voted for it, but has a crime prevention district ever failed on the ballot? Ever? Crime prevention districts have a Harlem Globetrotters record on the ballot. Yeah. Like you vote yes unless you want your neighbor raped and murdered. Like that's the way it's positioned every single time. It's the illusion of a vote, but it's on the ballot nonetheless.
Either way, you get to have a vote on it.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is one of those ones that just keeps pushing people. Just be real with us. Like that's all that we're asking of any level. Just don't. I don't know. I appreciate you coming on. That tells the story, man. I should have called you earlier in the week. I was telling Lori when she was in. I was like, I was gonna call Dwight first, but I thought he needed a cool down period. In hindsight, it would have been better radio. And I was like, to have you in here looking like you ever seen the movie Inside Out?
Oh
the girl's emotions. Yeah. To have you in here like anger with like actual flames coming out of your head. If I had called you on Wednesday, I'm thinking that's what would have gotten. But
well, I was the only one that voted against the creation of the district, just because they didn't tell us what they're gonna like. There's no real plan. They haven't told the community what they're gonna do, and they created this district already. But they made me the president of the utility district last week. so
my first order of business is to disband. Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Dwight. You're awesome. Come on in. Oh. We'll start with Fire Prevention Week.
Okay.
All right, which is what? We're almost done with it, but
in tomorrow. Or
yeah,
Saturday's the last day. Yes.
So yeah, I wanted to get y'all in earlier in the week. It just this week has been
A lot going on.
well the way I've built out my show so that I'm not constantly chasing a million interviews a day or 5 interviews a day, whatever. I have a number of set monthly things.
Mm-hmm.
So in the second week of the month, I have the police chief on Tuesday. I have state treasurer on Tuesday. I have the ag commissioner on Thursday.
Okay.
I've got Graves and Carter every
Yeah.
single week. So it's like there's this particular week more segments than most weeks are eaten up, and I'm like, damn.
Gotcha.
So, how's things?
It's well, just a little under the weather right now. So trying to fight that off a little bit, but other than that, we had a
It's,
good graduation
There's
yesterday.
been a lot going around with the
Yeah.
dryness and everything. Everybody's been affected by hay fever for one. Cold strep's going around too.
Yeah.
Yep. Have you looked ahead to next week's forecast? Oh, it's going to get nice. Unless you don't like it cold, in which case, brace yourself. Here's WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo.